But let's talk about the environment, specifically on forestry. Of course, you know that the environment has a responsibility for sustainable livelihoods. That's the reason it's one of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is globally acknowledged. But interestingly, due to man-made activities, what you call anthropogenic activities, the environment every now and then is being degraded with consequences, dire consequences. We can talk about climate change, we can talk about global warming, all of that having impacts on the environment as well as human health. Today we want to look at how we can leverage on forest regeneration to tackle the menace of environmental challenges. I'd like to thank very especially a former Senior Special Assistant to the State Governor on Forestry, a member of the State Advisory Council on Forest Management, and is currently a consultant to the state government on forest regeneration. Dr. Festus Onogholo is also the project coordinator of 1 Million Trees for Peace project. Dr. Festus, thank you for joining us on TMI.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, quickly, forest regeneration is such a key factor in protecting the environment. How come this idea is not something that is widespread in terms of acceptance and execution?
Okay, yeah. You see, we have a different notion about forestry in the past. We just go into there and cut it, and nobody talk about what? Sustainability. So it is high time people will take away that notion. Our forests should be protected. Everybody should come into this, to help protect our forests, stop the indiscriminate cutting of trees. So let us see for our trees like data. Everybody wants to get data on his mobile phone. By the time I see tree planting and so on and so forth, if trees in the environment are important to just as your data, you will see this issue of environmental sustainability will be taken care of. Okay. We need to plant trees every day. Every day trees are cut. The government is doing a lot on more serious to stop all this indiscriminate tree cutting.
Okay, we'll get to that point, but I'd like to find out from you. We discourage people, from cutting trees, for example. And in the rural areas, in the villages and communities, their lives depend on tree cutting. So how do we balance that?
Well, that is a very, very, I think right now there should be a paradigm shift right now. There should be a kind of orientation for them. Yes, there was a time the state government wanted to distribute gases to people in the rural areas to discourage them before this COVID-19 issue came about. They were planned. Okay. The then Commissioner for Women Affairs and Gender Matters, she asked us to bring some names of all these areas that we see that are put high deforestation. In the government plan to give them gases. Gas cylinders. So that during that COVID-19, when they raised some areas, so they still were carted away and so on and so forth. But I feel that is one of the areas the government should come into this thing right now. And all these rural areas, they should give them an alternative source whereby they will stop the cutting of of trees for firewood. So but that is a very good question. You understand? By the time they orientate them, maybe the Ministry of Communication, of the information coming to this thing, give a kind of orientation that our forests are gone and so on and so forth. So we should not be cutting down trees as usual. So let us shift into this. We have even though gases are expensive, government can come and do something about that.
Maybe subsidize it.
Subsidize it for them.
Okay.
give them all these cooking gases, and then create some kind of all these retail outlets for gas selling. That will help to create jobs for
even people in the rural areas.
In the rural area. Yeah. I think that is one way the government should go about it, because one, if there's no alternative for them, you can't tell them not to cut the trees, because
they need firewood for energy, for cooking and other domestic activities.
Yeah. So I just pray if the government should come about a program like this, and happy again that Mr. Edeko, she's still the Commissioner for Women Affairs and Gender Matters, and then she has she's very keen about this.
Okay. So what are the importance of conserving our forest in Nigeria? What are the importance?
The role of forestry cannot be downplayed. You know that they say the day the last tree died, the last man dies.
That's an adage.
Yeah,
the day the last tree dies, the last man dies. Interesting.
Yes, you understand. So we get oxygen is what? It's trees.
That's true.
What takes away the CO2 from the atmosphere is trees. You understand? And a lot of animals in the forest, they depend on what? On trees.
That's very true.
So you see, this is very, very important on a more serious note.
Okay. A lot of people don't really know the importance of just it's not tree. Let's cut it down, that kind of thing. So that's why some people might really need to get grasp
the understanding of the importance of not
to stop desertification. We have to do what? We have to plant more trees. Like see now, if you look at all this, the Guinea Savannah right now, it is not eroding now. If you travel, if you are coming from Abuja to Auchi, to Amilokene, Auchi, and this side, you see the trend of this desert coming in this part right
gradually.
Gradually, it's because most of the trees are now growing now. And recently, what bleeds my heart is that. Right now, you see a lot of they chop trees right now, put them on the way, take them to an industry that made them into this thing. Not furnitures. Okay. Because there's a company right now that uses them.
Is it for coal or what?
No.
What do they use it for?
I think maybe they say that they do plywood and so on and so forth.
That's furniture. So it could be for furniture.
They just, you see a lot of people, they cut all these trees. But the government doing a lot of things. Effort to stop this trend, in fairness.
All right, let's look at efforts to regenerate forest through tree planting campaigns. I recall that recently, when the state celebrated 30th anniversary, there was a policy initiative to plant 10 million trees or so. Yeah. To what extent has that project taken off? And how do you think that project can help to checkmate this challenge?
This is a government policy, first and foremost, you understand. And I know something about, I'm part and parcel of that project, and Mr. Governor really meant well for Edo State by flagging of that 10 million project. You know that Mr. Governor is a man that came from his uncle, one of the fourth director of forestry, in the Midwestern or Bender State then.
Back in the days.
Back in the days. So he knew the importance of forestry, and so based on, he knew the importance of forestry, and based on that, he's working to make sure that our forests are back. So in that 10 million tree project, the aim of that project is to plant 1 million trees in 10 years. And I believe now with the creation of the Forestry Commission in the state, I think that, yes, the project was flagged off, but that project is still in the pipeline. And with the coming of the Forestry Commission, I think they are doing something great to see that 1 million trees will be planted for the next 10 years.
So every year you have 1 million trees.
That is the plan of that project. That is the plan of that project. Okay. That is what was in the mind of the governor. And I'm sure that one of the reasons that he's doing everything to set up the Forestry Commission, and which is gradually taking off.
We also have the 1 million trees for peace project.
Yeah.
So what are we with that as it relates to forest regeneration?
Okay, you know that, yes, we are an NGO, fine. Year in, year out, we plant trees. You know that the NGO and tree planting planting trees is a costly venture because you just have to prepare the land, then get seedlings, and then you now plant. You are saying, where are we? This year right now, we have prepared almost 20 hectares for tree planting this year.
So how many trees will that?
We are planting about 22,000 trees thereabout this year. And last year, we planted 11 hectares. But it might look small, but let me tell you one thing about tree planting. It is not just planting, you say you brush maybe 50 hectares, you plant the trees. The most difficult thing is maintenance of the tree. Because if you let's say 1 hectares, at a spacing of 3 meter by 3 meter, you get 1,011 trees. That's in 1 hectare. Then after planting, if you don't maintain, for the first year, you lose 60% of those trees. And the most difficult operation is what? Is maintenance. The second, if you don't maintain again, you lose an additional 30% of those trees. Of those trees. So by what we are doing, the 1 million tree for peace project, your man if he was there the other day, apart from planting, we maintain these trees. The board of my organization, because this 1 million tree for tree process is a project of Association for World Peace in Europe, which you know about, an African Initiative for World Peace.
Okay.
So the board, they are very, very concerned about the maintenance of those trees. So for this year, we are regenerating at least between 15 and 20 hectares of land. Another thing we are doing also again, our reserve. Sometimes there are some persons they are going to this reserve and carry and make and get brush on area for farmland. So what we do also then, we meet them, we plant out those areas also with
the trees.
Yeah.
So you have the crops and then you have the trees.
You have the crop and we have the trees. That's agroforestry. So we encourage them that please, so we know that you people enter this place illegally.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah, but to protect the trees here.
Protect the trees here. So we also do that as an NGO.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If you just join us, it's still TMI Monday, special Easter edition, and the show today extracting the need for us to cultivate the culture of tree planting to protect the environment. Tree is very important for human existence. I mean, the existence of life is in a so strongly connected to trees that are in our environment to protect us from environmental degradation and all the harmful effects that we have in the environment. So we need to cultivate that culture of tree planting so we can help to protect the environment. Yes, sir, please, you want to ask something?
Yes. What do you think is Nigeria's most important environmental problem currently?
It's our deforestation. We know that deforestation. A lot of people that are entering into the forest or cutting down our trees. You see, I work with the Swiss Forestry. I work with some persons in the Swiss Forestry Association. In countries like Switzerland, which I've been to, you don't just go into the forest and cut trees. Before any tree is cut, is felled, there's a tag on that trees, and the government, they know all the trees in the forest.
All the trees?
They know they know all the trees in the forest. No, that in Switzerland. You understand? So until the government of this country, I think of this government right now, to the Forestry Commission, they are coming up with something like that right now.
So is there any form of, is there any means to checkmate those violating this
policy?
Yeah, there are. You can know that recently the governor bought some boats and so on and so forth, not these river areas. Yeah. So because look at most of our trees right now, they lock them through this Olugbo area and so on and so forth. And you can see, if you go to the Ministry of Environment, you will see a lot of all these trucks, stair trucks that carry all this wood. So I think the government is doing its best to stop this. It is not as business as usual. Okay. Even all the problem in Okomu, in Okomu Forest Reserve, yeah. The logging there, I think the governor and the SSG, they are really up in task to tackle.
Let's look at this issue, Dr. Festus. Yeah. We are concerned about illegal deforestation, illegal logging of felling of trees, as the case may be. What do you make of this challenge of while we are discouraging people from falling trees, cutting down trees, some multinational companies are going into this forest to do monocropping. You plant maybe rubber, or you plant palm seedlings, and at the end of the day, rather than having biodiversity in such forest, you just have one monocrop. What do you make of this? And this constantly brings friction between the host communities and those multinational companies. Isn't this a challenge to you?
Well, you see, let me just pick it's a challenge to some extent, but if you look at in Edo State, the areas that are located for all this oil palm, they are badly degraded forest areas.
Badly degraded
forest areas, yes, that cannot actually, because first and foremost, let us look at it. It's a two-way issue too. The government is trying to create employment in the state. It's trying to boost the economy of the state. I know that in the past, what Mr. Governor did, there was a committee. They did what is called this grant throttling, and a map of the state were done. So areas that were barely degraded for forests of trees were mapped out. These are the areas they are what?
That are given up to this.
Yeah, but the other areas that are not badly degraded, they are protected, and there are plans from state government to regenerate those areas.
Okay.
But you should know that, when you're saying that those states, create employment, and there are investors who want to embark on all these things, they should be encouraged. And even at encouraging them, they allocate areas that are badly degraded. And not even that, all these multinational that are coming, that you have just said too, they also encourage to do some tree planting. Because I don't want to, I might not be too sure right now is that, I know one time in the past, in the Advisory Committee of Forestry, we recommended that if you plant 10 hectares of palm trees, you must plant 1 hectare of forest. You understand? But they later reduce it also. Maybe you plant maybe 5 hectares or 1 hectare of forest. So they are not just planting their monocrops. So they are planned for them to also do what? Introducing some forest trees.
So what is the plight of the residents of those host communities whose livelihood depends on those forests, whether they are degraded forests or they are forests that are flourishing?
Well, I think they are applied first and foremost. It's a very technical question. In everything, there will be some kind of resistance. Because all these communities, by the time they see anybody, they say, you want to come and take our land. But most of the time, I think there's a platform in the state, the APOI. So they've gone into some of all these things. They talk with the forest, the communities, hold meeting with them. I think there's also a plan also. Some of them, they are also employed in those that areas.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Festus Onowola. It's a delight to have you here. But what's your parting words on the reenactment of the culture of tree planting, particularly for our people out there?
I think, yes, I want them to put in place an Edo State urban forestry project. Everybody should at least plant 5 trees in his compound. I know at the advent of this administration the other time, the governor came up with something one time also that if you plant 1 tree or so, they will,
or compensate you.
Compensate you, yes. I know that this during his first tenure. And I still want that project to be what?
Continue.
To continue. But urban, and second also again, look at all these are bypass. All these are bypass and so on and so all this interchange. That is stopping us from all those areas planting trees. So if you are coming in Edo State, if you travel out of the country right now from Kakatoka to Kokomole in Ghana, you see how they plant trees and so on and so forth. So we can also do that from our airport to plant trees and so on and so forth.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. That's it on this segment of the show, TMI Monday. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you with the rest of the program. Remember, when you plant trees, you're actually giving life. You are helping to sustain the environment in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, as it were, just to ensure that we make the environment sustainable, more healthy, to protect us and then provide food for us. Until we have that culture of protecting the environment through tree plantings, then we'll continue to be subservient to the vagaries of the environment. Tree plantings has been found to be very helpful in shielding the people or the buildings from storms and weather. In the event of very debilitating storm, environmental hazards, trees can actually help to forestall it. So we'll take a short break. We'll be back with you on the rest of the show. Don't go away.